Drier air is looking to return to Acadiana over the next couple of days, which means rain chances coming back down. Temperature is still on the higher side, but maybe not quite as oppressive out there. We'll talk about that. Plus, have the very latest out in the tropics here in just a little bit. But first, let's take a look at the bigger picture. And we have a weakening cold front moving through the area tonight. And this front earlier this evening helped to spark off the scattered showers and storms we saw out there across Acadiana, some of which producing very heavy rainfall and frequent lightning out there. But looking at the radar tonight, things looking much better. All of that coming to an end, and I think all of us should stay on the drier side again through the rest of the night. Now, out in the tropics, we're less than a week away from the peak of the hurricane season, and we are watching 3 areas of interest, none of which really overly concerning at this point. Here's the first one in the Caribbean Sea. Has about only a 10% chance to develop in the next 5 days. Doesn't look overly impressive at all. Models don't do a whole lot with this area. And then the other 2 areas we're watching at this time way out into the Atlantic. In fact, one of them not even off the African coast yet. Both have a pretty high chance to develop here in the coming days, but general thinking they should eventually recurve out to sea. But of course, anything crossing the Atlantic this time of year bears watching. So let's turn to the Euro model here to track out the systems we're watching closer to the African coast. You can kind of see taking everything we're watching at this point out into the open Atlantic in the coming days. And then look what's sitting in the Gulf of Mexico for next weekend. A cold front, and everything I've been looking at as far as an upper level pattern standpoint is concerned suggests to me that we would see some sort of a cool front try to move through the area late next week into next weekend. But that's at this point. I still think the best course of action is let's get through the weekend, and I think by Monday we should have a better understanding and forecast here of how it's all going to play out. But nonetheless, if this does set up, this would do 2 things for our weather. The first, of course, it would usher in some drier and cooler temperatures for late next week into next weekend. But also from a tropic standpoint, anything that would form out in the Atlantic would have a tendency just to kind of recurve out to sea and really not make a run for the Gulf of Mexico. So that would be a win-win situation for us here in South Louisiana, something we're going to root for, but still a little bit too early to tell. This is not a set-in-stone forecast, but at least at this point seems somewhat promising here as we head into next week. So fingers crossed. Now running it through with Futurecast here, we look to start off on the quiet side tomorrow morning to kick off your Sunday. Lows again back into the lower and mid 70s. And then through the course of the afternoon, that front's going to push through again a little bit later on tonight. It's not going to usher in any cooler temperatures, but should bring down our humidity, lower dew points out there, so maybe not feeling quite as oppressive and humid for your Sunday afternoon. Also drier air, so rain chances sitting no better than 10%. And then we kind of do it all over again as we head into Monday. Again, rain chances will sit at around 10% or so. High temperatures in the low to mid 90s. But look at those heat indices, again, pretty close to the actual air temperature. So that suggests to us, again, maybe not quite as humid over the next couple of afternoons. So for tonight, all the showers coming to an end, lows back into the lower and mid 70s. And then for the day tomorrow, high temperatures again back into the lower and mid 90s, but those heat indices again pretty close to the actual air temperature, so not quite as humid out there. And again, less than 10% on the rain chances. Next 10 days here, rain chances continue to stay on the lower side through Tuesday. And then next week where it gets a little bit interesting, perhaps awaiting a frontal boundary. Let me see if I can get back here. It doesn't look like I'll be able to, but there's your fishing forecast for tomorrow. But again, we'll continue to monitor the potential for frontal patches late next week. Not going to bring down the temperatures too low as far as the models are indicating at this point, but of course,